Hi, I'm Chris Wardlaw for CarGurus, and today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of the 2015 Cadillac Escalade Platinum. Now let's get right to it, starting with some of my favorite things about this big full-size luxury SUV. The first thing I love about the Escalade is that it is a pop culture icon. It's the only Cadillac left that has a real name, and just like the Corvette does for Chevrolet, the Escalade communicates the Cadillac brand to the world. It's a brand ambassador. And this vehicle actually transcends critique. You're gonna buy it no matter what anybody has to say about it, just like you'll buy the Corvette. And I think that's cool. Another great thing about the Escalade is that it is big, bold, and badass. Cadillac redesigned this SUV for 2015, and it's got a sharp, creased, tailored appearance. When you look at it, you can barely see the Chevy Tahoe that's lurking beneath the sheet metal. And then right around back, something that is sure to inspire envy at the country club, this little P badge right here denoting platinum. Tells the world you spent almost 95 grand on your big SUV. Now, even though the Escalade is kind of old tech in terms of its design and engineering, this thing is loaded with technology. From the 4G LTE Wi-Fi hotspot to this smartphone inductive charging pad, to the massaging driver's seat, to this Cadillac user experience system, which has its critics. I've made my peace with it. It does collect a lot of fingerprints and dust. It is a little bit slow to respond, but you know, whatever. It's a lot easier than it used to be to use. But really, I mean, this truck is absolutely loaded with technology. That can be a good thing or that can be a bad thing. You got to think about what it's going to cost to fix that stuff later on down the line, but you know, by the time those things start breaking, you're probably not going to still own this thing, right? So those are a few of the obvious things that are positive about the Escalade. But there are also a lot of things to criticize. And we're going to take a look at 3 of the things I like least about the Escalade right now. Now, you'd think that an SUV that's this big on the outside would also be big on the inside, and that's not really the case when it comes to the Escalade. Front seat occupants are going to be perfectly comfortable, especially the driver, because of that massaging front seat. Rear seat occupants will be okay. The bucket seat sits just a little bit low, but it's dished so that it gives good thigh support. And you've got decent foot and leg room, but there's no way to really slide the seat back to create like limousine levels of leg room back here, right? Now, the Platinum has these power folding captain's chairs, because God forbid you'd have to do that with your arms. And it's got a 3rd row seat. But if you try to put adults back here, they're probably going to unfriend you on Facebook. Because once this seat is back in place and you've adjusted that up so that it's not poking you in the back of the neck. Once you're back here, if you're a bigger guy like me especially, there's no place under the front of the 2nd row seat to put your feet, first of all. So they're just kind of wedged and crammed back here and you're almost eating your knees. You can stretch your other leg out here through the middle of the SUV, which is fine. But really, I mean, this is a spot that you'd probably use only for kids. The problem with that is, if you stick your kids back here, they're only 2.5 feet away from the tailgate. They're basically sitting in the SUV's crush space if a big semi or something hits the back of this thing. So I'm not sure that that makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. And given the size of the Escalade, it's really surprising that it's so compact on the inside. And if you think, ouch, if you think you're going to get the extended ESV model and you're going to get a lot more room, in terms of passenger space, that's not necessarily true. The 3rd row seat in the extended version is also kind of cramped. You're just getting a lot more cargo space behind the 3rd row seat. Now check this out. The reality is that the Escalade has just barely more space how do you fold that? Has just barely more space inside than your typical mid-size crossover SUV. As you can see, behind the third row seat, there's room for a compact folding stroller, maybe a few bags of groceries, not much else. If you're planning to take a road trip and you've got those captain's chairs and you want to carry more than 4 people in this behemoth, you either leave all the luggage at home or you leave some of the people at home. Because to get a full-size suitcase in here, actually, I'll stack it on the side. That's what you've got to do. If you're planning to carry more than 4 or 5 people in an Escalade plus cargo, you have to get the extended version, the ESV. Now, the other issue is that this cargo floor, as you can see, is really high. I mean, I'm 6 feet tall, and on me, it's almost waist height. The reason for all of these compromises is because this SUV is a traditional body-on-frame style, and it uses a live rear axle, solid rear axle, rear suspension design, and that basically pushes everything in the vehicle up higher. Plus, with the redesign, Cadillac installed these folding third row seats instead of the ones that you used to have to remove and that thieves love to steal. So that's good. You don't have to remove the seats to maximize cargo room anymore. But because they fold, everything is higher, and because the roof is actually a little bit lower with this redesign, the space has actually gotten smaller. If you want a full-size luxury SUV that's got a functional third row seat and lots of cargo space, try the Lincoln Navigator, and here's why. It has a more sophisticated and compact independent rear suspension design, and that creates a whole lot more room on the inside of the vehicle. Now, if you decide to buy an Escalade Platinum, prepare to shell out an extra $7,805 over the Escalade Premium model. That brings the starting price for 2-wheel drive and no options to just over $90,000. Now, what are you getting for the extra money? You're getting a lot of upgraded interior materials that are designed to class up the joint. You've got suede microfiber on the lower parts of the dashboard and on the seat backs. The whole instrument panel is wrapped in leather, the upper door panels. The leather on the seats is a premium semi-aniline leather. It's all really nice stuff, but part of the problem with it, of course, is that it draws sharper contrast with some of the Chevy grade plastics that are also inside this SUV. Now, what that starting price does not include is the power retractable side steps. You can see them deploy here. Now, that's a $1,695 option, even on the Platinum model, and without them, it's really tough to get in and out of this truck. I recently heard a report that said that LA actually has the worst roads in the country. Now, I grew up in Michigan. I know what bad roads are like, and I don't feel like LA's got the worst roads in the country, but you know, whatever. No matter where you live, though, the 22-inch wheels and 45 series tires that come on the Escalade Platinum destroy the ride quality. This vehicle's got a magnetic ride control suspension, which automatically adjusts to road conditions, and it's got 2 different settings. There's Tour and there's Sport. So this Escalade was delivered to me with Tour setting on, and I thought, man, this is kind of a rough ride. And then I clicked the little button on the dashboard and pulled up the menu, and I switched it to Sport, and it felt like I was suddenly in like a horse-drawn wagon. I'm glad that the lane departure warning system just went off, because that kind of leads me into my next segment. This is a big vehicle, and I don't usually drive big vehicles like this. I suppose that you get used to it, but here in LA, we have a lot of freeways with very narrow lanes, and we have a lot of very compact parking lots with tiny little spaces. And I found maneuvering this vehicle to be a complete pain in the you-know-what. From visibility issues, despite the fact that it's got parking sensors and a reversing camera, to just, trying to maneuver around really tight turns in various parking areas and just driving down the freeway. I mean, normally I'll turn a lane departure warning system off, but in the Escalade, I kept it on the entire time because I actually felt like I needed it. If you're going to buy one of these, just know that there is going to be an acclimation period, especially if you live in an urban environment. So what's the verdict when it comes to the Cadillac Escalade Platinum? Should you go test drive one right away? Is it a work in progress, or should you just cross it right off your list? Look, the reality is you're gonna buy one no matter what I have to say, so just go ahead and do it already. You're gonna enjoy it, no problem. If you're interested in learning more about this vehicle, please visit CarGurus.com to check out my full review, and thanks for watching.